So what exactly did baptism for the dead involve? One scholar has noted that there are between 40 and 200 interpretations of 1 Corinthians 15:29. We obviously can't cover all of them, but over the next 3 vids I'll tell you about some leading candidates from the time I wrote my book. The first reading is one amenable to Mormon views, even if not an exact match, the Vicarious baptism explanation. This is the majority view, and it's that Paul describes a practice of baptism done by the living on behalf of the dead, for people who had believed in Christ but had not yet had a chance to be baptized. I find it difficult, though, to locate any anchor for this interpretation. With the exception of the thief on the cross, we don't have an example of a convert who died without being baptized. Where a time frame is indicated, converts whose stories are told in Acts were baptized almost immediately. Where no time frame is indicated, the implication is that baptism took place within less than a day. The longest recorded period that a convert waited for baptism was Paul, for 3 days, and that was an unusual experience. How likely is it that within the 10-year history of the Corinthian church there was any person who became a Christian and desired baptism, and then was unable to have the rite performed because of an untimely death? A second point is that the dualistic Greeks believed that actions performed in the material world had no effect on the spirit world, so the most likely response of Hellenistic Christians to the problem of a deceased and unbaptized convert would be to despair, and then seek the counsel of someone like Paul. Of course, one may argue that adopting a view of a loving God who listened to prayer might have led the Corinthians to conclude that an action on earth could affect the destiny of the deceased, but it's hard to maintain that enough Corinthians went through this reasoning process on their own to sanction a new and unauthorized rite of vicarious baptism. A more reasonable thesis is that the practice was devoid of theological meaning, and thus not requiring Paul's explicit condemnation, or else that we are misunderstanding the passage completely. Our next 2 explanations are based on these suppositions, and up next we'll look at the first of the 2 interpretations that dig deeper into the context of that social period. See you then.